it's always a privilege for us to be with you. And I want to say a special thank you to the people in Morocco Bay, Maikoni Mission for viewing this program, the country area, and all the other riverine areas. We want to thank God for you, because if you didn't view in us, we would not have been able to get through. But through the power and the grace of God, we pray as you continue to watch this program, your life will be touched, your life will be blessed, and your family will be expanded and be rooted and grounded in the truth of God. So we welcome you. We ask that you stay tuned, and God bless you.
This evening we want to continue looking at the topic rebuilding, with specific reference to fighting for the family. And when we examine our society, we recognize that as a man, or even leaders in the family might be doing well in terms of the job. You have a good job, reputation and all of that, financially successful, and you're doing extremely well. Maybe wearing your suits and so on, but you're doing well outside. But what about the home front? In some cases, we find that while persons might be doing extremely well outside of the home, inside that's another problem, and therefore we need to examine how we conduct ourselves. And so I think the time has come when we should engage in some kind of introspection and examination, in relation to our families. One of the things Nehemiah did is that Nehemiah went around the wall, and there was a reason for that. He was looking for the weak spots, the areas that may have been areas that may cause problems, and so with an attempt or a view to repair those weak spots. So we want to say to men in particular, leaders of families, the time has come for us to stop and to look. Take a closer look at your family and ask yourself if you like what you see. And when you see things that are going wrong, I think the time has come for you to make a list of those things that you are seeing wrong, and develop some strategy or strategies to change the situation, to change the circumstance or those problems that might be surrounding the family. And so this evening we want to continue looking at rebuilding, and we will make specific reference to a gentleman in the book of Judges. I think he was a judge, Jephthah, how because of his perception of family, how he actually failed in that respect. So we continue to look at the topic rebuilding. Gentlemen.
Jephthah was such a powerful general. The entire nation, the leadership of the nation, they were caught up in a conflict, and they needed someone to lead, to be the captain of the army. This account is captured in Judges chapter 11. And they made an appeal to this guy who was before ostracized, but they knew his skill, they knew his ability, and they went to Jephthah and they asked him to be captain and to help them to fight, lead Israel against their enemies. And Jephthah agreed. He was extremely successful. He was known for his ability to strategize and to execute. He was known, his ability to lead men was well known, and he did Israel proud. However, this man went to God and he made a statement, and that pledge, that vow, really shows us today that he didn't understand the power of family. He pledged to God that if he had success, if God would give him success in this battle, the first thing that came out of his tent to greet him, he would offer it up to the Lord. This gentleman was the father of a daughter. If you're a father of a child and you coming home, any father will tell you, those little children, they run out. They are excited to see their father. This brilliant military man was so good at battles and external activities, but he didn't take time to notice and to remember the fact that his daughter would always run out to greet him. His heart broke when he got home. He got the victory, and when he got home, his lack of knowledge of the inner workings of the family broke his heart, and eventually banished, according to the historians, his daughter into seclusion. He didn't actually kill her, but she went into seclusion without the privileges of getting married, becoming a wife, and becoming a mother herself. And all because I think this gentleman did not stop to understand the dynamics of being a father. And we are putting it to you. It is not just earning money. You have to spend time with your children. You have to spend, and not just go home. There are men who are boasting, I am home 10 hours a day, and they sleep 8 hours of 10. So you tell me what you do with the other 2. So we are making a case that we have to move beyond just working to the point where we become actually involved in rearing and caring our children.
So I am in my 36th year as a member of the Guyana Defense Force, and most of that time I've been an officer. And from personal experience, one of the things that one has to constantly fight and wage war against is the idea of defining oneself solely and wholly by one's profession. The temptation is there to define yourself that I'm an officer, I'm a colonel and all of that, rather than define oneself within the context of the family. I have received strength over the years, not based on my military training, but the strength and the support that I receive within the family. So one needs to spend quite a lot of time cultivating that sort of environment. In military parlance, you would say cultivating a form base. And what a form base does, a form base provides strength, it provides place for training, grooming, nurturing, and prepares one for battle. So the stronger one form base is, the likelihood is that one will do, or one would really exploit or do tremendous exploit when one gets into battle. And the workplace is a battlefield. So the greater one prepares at home, is the better one will do when one gets
like the school is a battlefield, and we're discovering this. And little children are ill-equipped to deal with that constant, not just the work, to deal with the constant toing and froing at school. And if the father, his presence is not felt, those little children are exposed to the vagaries of growing up.
The home really, like Assistant Pastor Lee said, it's a place of refuge. Described it as a form base. It's a place where you get your strength. It's a place you get your training. It's a place you get your support. It's a place you get your ammunition from to deal with the elements of this life. And if careful, systematic development does not take place in that environment, you're surely going to fail. I find that sometimes we, because of how successful we may be, we lose sight of the role we have to play in our homes, the responsibilities that we have, especially as fathers, as husbands, and the whole idea that, oh, I'm earning and I am working. That seems to become the principal thing or the only thing. Not recognizing that bonding and developing relationships and bringing leadership and guidance to what happens in the house is critical for the success of the family. And so we need to go back to the responsibilities that we have at home and execute them with
So many
excellence.
times we allow the opinion of others to influence how we behave. And I want to bring to bear another Bible character, David. It was said that Saul killed his 1,000 and David killed his tens of thousands. But when we look at the life of David and his responsibility and his commitment to his family, we saw great failure in the way he handled his family affairs. And so sometimes, as human beings, we allow what other people say and the way people think of us to influence how we conduct ourselves. And I really love the word of God in 1 Timothy, making reference to a man desiring to be an overseer, how he should conduct himself and who he should put first, making reference to ensuring that his family is well taken care of, that they respect him, that he's honored at home. So we have to be mindful of what we do, who we listen to, and whose opinion we are allowing to guide our actions as parents.
The matter here with Jephthah. I have very strong relationship with my children. And what it does, it's not just to make me feel wonderful as a father, but it's an opportunity to train and to prepare them for life outside of the home. At work, we prepare people to excel on the job. Why can't we do similarly in the home?
Yeah.
We should do.
You see, but sometimes at work, like Brother Wesley was saying just now, at work we want to indulge, we love the praises that we hear from people. And we don't really pay much attention to what we do in the home. So training the children, not just spending time, but spending quality time in the home is what affords us the opportunity to cause those children to develop and to grow and make a significant contribution to society. Because as fathers, if we really don't spend much time, well, who are the trainers in the home? We ought to be the trainers in the home, so we must spend that amount of time with them. While we work, equally so, we must spend time in the home because the children are dependent on us for the guidance and direction that they need in life.
It's amazing the kind of love that comes from a home where the family there is a degree of members being genuine in terms of love. And so there are many persons might be doing great outside. We established that already. But sometimes when you have real troubles, even in the organization or the people who you perceive that you're fighting for, the reputation you're trying to protect, when you have real problems, you know where you end up going for that kind of comfort and protection. I know about me. There are times when you have a bad day, everything is going wrong, but when you go home and you see, your children or your wife or family members, they come and they rally around you, it gives you a great feeling. And sometimes what comes out there, it gives you the courage and the energy to go on for another day. Look at the consequences of this man's daughter because of him not paying keen attention. I feel very nice when I see, I mean I've not been a father for many years, but when you go home in the afternoon I hear, Daddy! Last night my son said to me, he said when I came in, he said, I bought some stuff and so on, he said, I didn't even buy it for him. I bought it and put some stuff on the table. And he looked in the bag and he said, Daddy, you bought all these things to me? He said, I wish if your skin had paste I could stick on to you. But this man is a gaff man. But even though I know what is going on in his head, he might be genuine. But the fact that he said that, the feeling, so all night I was on high. I can't understand how men could leave their children. I don't know how as a man you you make your children and just leave them, you know, to the mercy of other men, other people, and so on. So it is time that we actually do like Nehemiah, look for those weak spots and attempt to fix it.
You know, the Trinidadian Calypsonian Chocies made a song. I think he named it The Bandit Factory. It is powerful social commentary, and it really exemplifies, it speaks clearly to the absence of the father, and you must listen to it. But we have many factories like that in our country, where the absence of a father has produced enormous difficulty. But let's listen to another commentator. This one is a Calypsonian from a Hebrew tradition named Solomon, social commentator. He said in Proverbs chapter 4, "Hear ye children the instruction of a father, and attend to know understanding." Here the social commentator, no, he's not from Trinidad and Tobago. He said, "For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law, for I was my father's son." Here's the son writing about his father, and not the media writing about the son. You think you understand that? Here is a son writing about his father. He said, "For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother." And now we have a statement here that I would love to see really taken as a template throughout the length and breadth of this country. Solomon said, "He taught me also." Wow. "My father taught me and said unto me, let thine heart retain my words." You got to be sober to speak this. Yeah, you got to be sober. You can't be dependent on some kind of substance. You know, you got to be sober. Your mind got to be clear to be able to say these words to your son. Let, verse 4 of Proverbs 4, "Let thine heart retain my words. Keep my commandments and live." Young man, you want to live? You know, you don't need to take a selfie with all the money that you have and the bank cards and all of the thing, and you're showing that to your friend. And you know, you become famous. You take a selfie with all of your conquests and your trophies. You know, this guy's father said to him, "Keep my commandments and live."
What Solomon?
"Get wisdom and get understanding," he said. "Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth." All the time, this is a father speaking to a son. This is a dialogue, a conversation. This is being done with great intentionality. "Forsake her not, forsake her not. And she shall preserve thee, wisdom, love her, she will protect thee, and she shall keep thee." Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. "And with all thy getting, get understanding." This is the father telling his son, listen, exalt her and she will promote thee. This is not the father and his son hustling the same woman in a party. This is the father saying to the son, that is a trap to destruction. But if you want the outcome of your life to be good, embrace wisdom. And I mean, this is one of the most glorious testimonies of a son to a father.
I can see.
What I like about this is this is not just any father talking to his son. This is David speaking to his son. Solomon is recounting what his father, would have taught him.
Chief musician.
That's right.
Chief of staff.
Say it for me.
Commander in chief. King. Economist in chief. Chancellor of the Exchequer. And still this man had time to do this thing.
Well, you made my point. Foreign affairs had little to do with the fact that he really took time to deal with his home affairs. He ensured that home affairs was really strong.
Yeah.
The base was strong.
What we're describing there is this father took time to ground with his child, to connect to his child, to train his child, and as a matter of fact, he knew his child. I don't think we sometimes do that. We think we take more time training those in the office, as was said earlier, than training those at home. And that's what troubles me with this story of Jephthah, where for some reason or the other, this father just didn't know his child and anticipated that his child would do what she did. We can't live like that. And therefore, I encourage us, let us spend the time at home performing the role that we are required to play.
You know, I can attest to spending time at home because there were times when I didn't spend any time at home. I was involved in all sorts of things, and home was left without that security or protection or that teaching. And many times you would come home and find things out of place because I wasn't there. But coming to the Lord Jesus Christ and learning, I discovered that going home is a nice place to go. And being involved in family matters or home affairs, as we're putting it right now, it is so important and critical to raising a family. I have now gained the respect of all my children. Beautiful. Because of going home and teaching them. And so I get a call constantly. Some of them have left and some of them are married. But they call home and ask daddy questions. We need your opinion. And so that is so important to raising your family. You see, when I wasn't there, nobody called me. But being there, being a father, and still being a father, even though they have married and they have left home, they still depend on the advice and the counsel of daddy.
You know, I went to work as a young man. I went to work and I heard the big men at work talk about life. And I heard one day one advising the other, said, listen to me, when you reach home in the evening, throw your hat in your house, throw it through the window. If your hat does not come back, you can go in. If your hat comes out, along your way, you know. No, I couldn't, I tried to figure that for years as a youngster. I went to work at age 17 plus. Throw your hat in the house. I never had to do that. I would never do that. That's my house, and I live there. But so many men are visitors to their own home. And in order for them to check the environment, that advice, that counsel is throw your hat in, boy, because if you go in there, you might find a situation that you're not fully welcome. No, listen, don't build your life and your family like that. Wear your hat in your head, you know, and go into your home. It is amazing. That commentary speaks to a lot of things happening in our villages, in our life, in the city, in suburbia. Here, you must not be a stranger in your own home, and you must always. You don't need a visa to go to your house. You should be able to go to your house without any visa.
You know, one of the great principles in life that we often refer to is one of balance. And we see clearly here in Proverbs chapter 4, notwithstanding all that David had to do, he had to be around to, as stated in verse 2, for I give you good doctrine. He had to be around to instruct and to teach. His son said, he taught me, spending time. And as we go through verse after verse, get wisdom, get understanding. It's not just, spending time just one time, so to speak, but over a period of time, giving counsel. Forsake not her, it says. Wisdom is the principal thing. So as we continue to build our lives in our careers, we must remember where we came from and those people that are close to us that give that critical support so that we can bring a balance in life.
Bishop, I can recall you in one of your sermons recently making reference to going out to play and calling out to the neighbors, you know. Is daddy at home? And I could identify with that. Your father at home, you know, because you knew that once daddy was at home, there was some kind of stronghold. The possibility of us coming together as a group to play football, cricket, whatever, wasn't likely, because the man in the house was at home and there would have been some semblance of order there. And you know, that is lacking today. We don't see that, you know, we see children walking out and doing what seems right in their own eyes, so to speak, you know, and we are talking about rebuilding and we're calling men back to a place of order to ensure that our families are well protected, our youths, our young men, and our young women receive the kind of, you know, training that they need that can come only from a father. The model that we're seeing today of a family is a failed model, this whole aspect of single parenting. So we need men to come back to that place where, you know, they will allow God to do what only He can do in their lives.
Let's look at Jacob. He had 12 sons. And, you know, the way he raised them, he was always with them. And he looked at everything that they were telling him, and he taught them a lot. Now, before he died, he was able to call in each and every one and speak into their life. You see, that's a person who is at home. He wasn't absent. If he was absent, somebody else would have taken his space. But he was present, and he was able to articulate everything about his children, and that's the right way a family must live. If your heart is right, your feet will go in the right direction.
Amen.
And I pray that fathers and sons will take heed of that. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. The counsel of David to Solomon. Choices. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for being part of Choices. Remember, you can join us at First Assembly for any of our regular weekly services. I am Celicia on behalf of the set, reminding you that your whole life is the sum of your choices. God bless you.